All right, guys, let's finish off the chapter. Section C of chapter 11 today. We're going to talk about the skeletal system, the muscular system, and the nervous system very briefly. Okay. So the bodies need support, and there's different types of support. We have a skeleton, okay, but not all animals do. All right. Some animals have what's called a hydrostatic skeleton. Get my pen here. Hydro means water. So this is basically a fluid-filled cavity or a water-filled cavity that supports some of the softer-bodied invertebrates. They don't have a shell like an exoskeleton. They're very soft. This is actually a cross-section of an earthworm, and this part of the body is filled with fluid, and it helps give that earthworm its structure. A lot of our simple invertebrate sea creatures also have hydrostatic skeletons. Okay. Then we get to a little more complicated invertebrates, our insects, our crustaceans, and they have an exoskeleton, which we've talked about, and that's basically just a rigid outer covering. Okay, still not the same as a skeleton as we think about it, but it does definitely give their body support and shape. Okay. And then finally, that brings us to the endoskeleton. When you think of a skeleton, that's really what you're thinking about. Vertebrates have an internal skeleton that can be made of cartilage or bone. But if it's made of bone, there's cartilage as well. So a lot of times it's made of both. Okay. This endoskeleton is the strongest of the skeletons, which is what allows the vertebrates to be so big. Imagine an elephant with a hydrostatic skeleton. It's just not going to work. That structure is not going to be able to support itself with water. Same with a shell. If a elephant or even a whale had an outer shell, the shell would have to be so thick it would be too heavy. So these internal skeletons give great structure and support, but they're not so heavy that the animal can't exist and can't get upright. Okay. The skeleton is held together with ligaments. So anywhere there's a joint, anywhere there's a spot that the skeleton can move, that joint is held together with ligaments. We'll learn more about those when we talk about the human skeletal system. Okay. Animals need to move. Almost all animals move on a regular basis, but some are what's known as sessile. Some of the cnidarians, like sponges and coral, they don't move. They remain still almost all of their life. When they're first born, when their life first begins, they might move and kind of float around until they attach to something, and then they stay there the rest of their life. Okay. Some sea creatures use what's known as passive motion. Basically, they're allowing the environment to dictate where they go and how they move. The man-o-war jellyfish does this. It can control its movement a little bit, but really it's using the current of the water to get around. Most animals, though, have a muscular system. They actually have muscles of some sort. Might not be what we think of surrounding the skeleton, but they might have little tiny muscles that allows them to move. If you look on page 236 in your book, you can see a couple of different situations there. They talk about the little things coming off of the earthworm that have little muscles on them that allows them to move. Also talks about this squid right here. Okay, squid, which hopefully if we get to dissect squid later this year, you'll see what this is. It's called a siphon. And what the squid does is it fills its body with water, and then it shoots water out of that siphon. It's kind of if you filled up a water balloon with water but didn't tie a knot in it, and then you let the water go, the water shoots out. If you let go of the balloon's going to move in the opposite direction. So as this squid shoots water out of its siphon, it moves in that direction. Okay. Vertebrates have actual muscles. They have skeletal muscles that work along with their endoskeleton. Animals with exoskeletons can have some skeletal muscles too. They just work a little bit differently. Okay. This is a bicep right here, and you can see that it's attached to the bones in different places. It attaches to the skeleton. Okay. These skeletal muscles can only pull, they don't push. So when this muscle pulls in this direction, it shortens. That's going to bring the arm up in that direction. Okay, so this muscle pulls, That's what allows you to lift your arm. When this muscle relaxes, then the arm goes down, but you're not really pushing that arm down. We'll learn more about that, okay? All of this stuff needs to be controlled. All of the systems in our bodies need to be controlled, okay? So our nervous system is what controls all of the other systems. And the nervous system has three main roles. It takes in information. So all the stimulus that you're taking in, all your sensory information is the receiving of information. But then you have to interpret it. What am I hearing? What am I smelling? What am I seeing? What does this mean? And then how to respond to it. Do I need to run away? Do I need to eat something? What's my response going to be? So this is happening in our nervous systems all the time, okay? Now that information is traveling all through our nervous system in the form of a nerve impulse, which is basically a very small electrical signal that travels through the nerves, okay? But not all animals have very complicated nervous systems, okay? So everything I've talked about so far is like what's found in a vertebrate, okay? In higher animals, they have an actual brain. They've got some kind of a spinal cord, and then these other nerves are branching off there, and those nerve impulses can go throughout the body. Some of our simpler animals can still respond to the environment, but they do not have a brain. They have something called a nerve net. So this is a type of a cnidarian. It's a type of coral, actually, I think. It doesn't move, okay, but it can respond to its environment. It's going to look for food. It's going to get food, and it's going to try to take it into its mouth right there. But those little purple lines are indicating this thing called a nerve net. And very basic signals can be transported through that nerve net. The information from outside can go in. There's not really a processing center, though, because there's no brain. But it still allows this animal to have some control over its body, okay? That's it for chapter 11. See you guys later.